There are objects in your home right now that quietly drink from your spirit. Not because they are cursed, but because they hold a residue of energy. Energy that pulls you backward instead of forward. Energy that wraps itself around your sleep, your focus, your discipline, until one day you notice that your fire has dulled and your will has grown soft. These are not just things. They are silent companions of memory, whispers of emotion, and echoes of stories you never fully released. And every day, you pass by them as if they are invisible, yet they feed on your light. A cracked cup from someone you no longer speak to. A decorative mask that once seemed exotic but now chills the air each time you look at it. A gift you accepted not from joy but from guilt. These items do not carry peace. They carry unfinished business. In the wisdom traditions of the East, the first rule of stillness is clarity. When the outer world is tangled, the inner world cannot breathe. And clutter is not only about dust, it is about meaning. Objects are vessels, and they absorb more than you think. Anger, grief, betrayal, longing, they seep into form and remain long after the moment has passed. What is left behind becomes like a magnet for shadows, the restless thoughts, the sudden irritations, the invisible weight of anxiety that rises without explanation. In Shaolin training, such intrusions are called inner demons, not because they are supernatural, but because they are distortions of energy. And every distortion begins with what you allow to surround you. Today, I will guide you through the hidden objects that disturb the harmony of your space. I will share insights guarded for centuries, how to release what drags you down, how to cleanse without fear, and how to protect the sanctuary of your mind with one powerful rule followed by every true disciple of discipline. Understand this, your home is not just four walls. It is the outer skin of your energy field. It mirrors your state of being. And when you begin to see differently, you will recognize why certain objects drain your spirit, why letting go is not about losing but about resetting. Because when you release, you do not merely clear a shelf, you open a path. You return to presence. You reclaim your fire. So if you feel stuck, scattered, endlessly agitated, do not look first at the world outside. Sometimes the first battle is not against an enemy out there. It is against what sits quietly on your shelf, waiting, humming, pulling you away from the light. Some things feel heavy before you even touch them. You step into a room and something is wrong. Your shoulders tighten, your breath shortens, and though the silence is unbroken, it feels thick. This is not imagination, it is energy. In the East, it is called Shi, the life force that flows through all things. Every object, every corner, every garment you wear holds traces of what has been felt around it. Joy, grief, fear, or confusion, they do not vanish when the event ends. They settle into matter, clinging, waiting, humming in silence. Think of the cracked mirror you never replaced. The expensive painting that unsettles you each time you glance at it, but you keep because it cost too much to discard. The gift from someone who betrayed your trust. These are not inert. They hold Shi that has lost harmony, discordant energy that bleeds into your field. When your space is confused, your mind becomes unsettled. Slowly, silently, you drift off-center. You lose clarity. You begin to react instead of resting in peace. Shaolin practice reveals a truth that transcends culture: the outer is never separate from the inner. An imbalanced environment stirs the currents of your own energy. What surrounds you is not passive, it mirrors something within you. To recognize this is not superstition but self-study. The deeper question is never, why is this object here, but, why am I still holding on? Many times, we preserve relics of pain as if they were treasures. We build silent shrines to wounds that never healed. A shelf becomes an altar to grief. A room becomes a whispering chamber of doubt. And when night falls, the energy stored in these objects seeps into your dreams, shaping them with unease. That is why monks keep so little. Not because they despise beauty or fear possession, but because they know the weight of energy is real. Your home is not only where you live, it is an extension of your field. What stays around you, stays inside you. What surrounds you shapes you. And not all shadows come from outside. Sometimes the heaviest ones sit quietly in the room you never questioned. A statue with sharp, piercing lines. A mask frozen in an eternal scream. A relic painted with sorrow. These are not cursed, but symbols speak. And their language reaches deeper than your conscious mind. Ancient wisdom treated symbols with great reverence because each mark, each form, carries vibration. Heaven. Death. Discipline. Love. These were inscribed knowing they would enter the soul of the observer. Today we dismiss symbols as decoration, but their voice is not silenced. They whisper each time you walk past, feeding impressions into your subconscious until they shape your very state of being. And so unease creeps in. A restlessness you cannot explain. An invisible root of anxiety that flowers slowly. This is the subtle power of energy. It works drop by drop, until even the strongest spirit begins to bend. True mastery does not begin with great battles but with the quiet discipline of choosing what you allow to remain in your space. Mastery begins not with conquest of the outer world but with honesty toward the smallest things around you. Every object is a conversation, a message to your subconscious. A broken token from a painful year. A journal from a season of regret. A certificate from a path you never completed. They may sit tucked away, harmless to the eye, but they carry echoes. They speak not in words but in memory. Each time your gaze lands upon them, even if only for a heartbeat, they whisper, "You failed. You lost. You missed your chance." And without realizing, part of your spirit lingers there, caught in the loop of unfinished stories. This is what the ancient teachings call emotional dust. Invisible, yet heavy. The more of it that accumulates, the harder every step forward feels. It is not the world that weighs you down, it is the fragments of yesterday you continue to preserve. Mindfulness does not demand that you forget your past. It asks for completion. Completion is not about changing what has already happened. It is about transforming your relationship with it. To complete means to breathe life into what was stagnant, to see with new eyes, and when necessary, to let go. There are two doors through which completion can be entered. One is courage, to revisit with full presence, to accept, to heal, and then to close the chapter. The other is release, to let the object go without ritual, without fear, without guilt. Both require strength. Both open the path to clarity. But clinging freezes you. It binds you to stories you have already outgrown. And so your progress becomes heavy, your future feels dimmed, because your energy is still entangled in shadows. A box hidden under your bed. A letter from someone who walked away. An old photograph of the person you once were but no longer are. These are not always blessings. Sometimes they are anchors. Ask yourself honestly, does this object help me rise, or does it keep me still? The moment you answer with truth, you reclaim power. Because release is not weakness, it is a warrior's strength. There is clarity in closure. There is freedom in allowing the past to finish its echo. Completion creates space. Space is not emptiness, it is presence. And presence is the foundation of true power. In that space, your energy flows unhindered. In that presence, your spirit breathes again. This is why monks and seekers travel light, not only on the road but in the heart. Because every step unburdened brings them closer to stillness. When you hold on, you bind yourself. When you release, you discover you were never lacking. And sometimes, peace does not arrive from repairing what is broken, it comes from no longer needing to carry it at all. The room is silent, yet your mind keeps spinning. Not because voices fill the air, but because another glow remains, screens lit, notifications stacked, tabs left open. This is the new clutter, not heavy objects, but invisible noise that pulls on your attention. In ancient times, disturbance came as shouts, sharp sounds, the residue of conflict still echoing in stone walls. Today it arrives in endless swipes, in scrolling that never ends, in the quiet drip of distraction. What seems harmless fragments your spirit drop by drop. Every motion of your finger scatters chi, each alert breaks the rhythm of your breath. And though you may not notice at first, over time it drains you. Fatigue creeps in. Focus frays. Sleep loses its depth. The body stiffens without knowing why. The device does not only take your time, it takes your center. It becomes a mirror where your spirit cannot see itself clearly. But Shaolin teaching reminds us, stillness is not inactivity. It is power condensed, like water held still before it becomes a wave. When you reclaim stillness, you reclaim the blade of your awareness. Mindful separation is a discipline, a sacred pause. Not to reject the gift of technology, but to remind yourself that you are its master, not its servant. A simple ritual: leave the device in another room. Light incense. Breathe deep. Even 10 minutes of silence becomes medicine, a soft reset of your nervous system. In those minutes, subtle energy returns. Your heartbeat steadies. Your thoughts slow until you hear your own voice again, the one buried beneath the noise. This is not retreat, it is reset. A warrior sharpens their blade in silence. You sharpen your presence by stepping away from the glowing distractions. Your mind is a temple, and the gatekeeper is attention. What you allow in fills your spirit. What fills your eyes shapes your soul. If you wish for peace, you must prepare space for it. Peace does not stumble into a crowded room. It arrives where there is clarity, where there is room to land. And so you choose, moment by moment, do I let the noise flood me, or do I carve out silence? This choice is not small. It is the foundation of mastery. Because each pause becomes an affirmation, I return to myself. I am not lost in the stream. Discipline lives here, in the unseen moments when you put the world down and let your breath lead you home. Clothing remembers what the mind tries to forget. A bracelet worn on the day of betrayal. A shirt that clung to your skin when despair weighed you down. A necklace you grasped when envy burned in your chest. These items are familiar, but not always safe. They are witnesses to your storms, and fabric is more porous than you realize. It does not only hold sweat and scent, it absorbs emotion. Anger has a heat. Sorrow has a density. These qualities do not vanish once the moment has passed. They sink into the threads, waiting, lingering. One day, you slip that shirt on again and feel heavy for no reason. Your mood shifts. Your patience thins. You tell yourself it's nothing, but something deeper knows. It is not the color, not the fit. It is the echo of the past woven into the cloth. Shaolin understanding teaches that objects close to the body absorb qi most strongly. What touches you carries memory. What touches you can reawaken shadows. This is why nearly every spiritual path emphasizes cleansing, not only of homes and temples, but of garments, tools, and adornments. To restore them, to free them from what clings. The methods are simple but sacred: water infused with intention, washing beneath moonlight, a handful of salt, a whispered prayer. Breath and focus are enough if the heart is clear. And when the weight is too great, when the object feels more like a chain than an ally, the teaching is simple: let it go. Pass it on, return it to the elements, or release it to fire. Do not fear the act of release, for release is reverence. It honors your own spirit by refusing to imprison it in echoes. Mastery is not a grand stage, it is awareness in the smallest things. The bracelet you decide to cleanse. The shirt you choose to release. These acts are not trivial. They are declarations: I will not be bound by yesterday. I will not wear sorrow as an ornament. When you cleanse what touches your skin, you cleanse what touches your spirit. In the stillness that follows, presence sharpens. The echo fades. The body feels lighter, freer. The past loses its grip, and the path ahead clears. This is not mere ritual, it is alchemy. Turning memory into release. Turning release into power. And in this simple practice, your field becomes brighter, your steps more certain, your energy more your own. Some things are passed down with more than hands. An old watch from a father who carried silence like armor. A ring from a grandmother who endured sorrow she never spoke aloud. A painting gifted by a friend whose smile always seemed strained. These objects carry more than shape and color, they carry the weight of untold stories. Energy does not die with a moment, it moves into memory, into matter, into the things we inherit or receive. When someone gives you something, especially if it comes from a place of pain, confusion, or guilt, that energy can lodge itself within the object. The item becomes a vessel, a silent witness to what was never healed. You may not know the details, but you feel it. A subtle heaviness when you wear the ring. A restless pull when you hang that painting. Nothing loud, nothing obvious, just enough to unground you, to disturb your flow. Shaolin wisdom teaches us, ownership means little without resonance. What matters is the energy with which something was created or given. If the intention was rooted in love, its energy uplifts. If it came from fear, bitterness, or grief, it clouds. This does not mean you must reject every gift or heirloom. But it does mean you must listen. Objects speak without words. They ask you silently, do I belong here? Do I belong with you? There is no dishonor in saying no. To release what does not align is not ingratitude, it is clarity. You may thank the object, bless it, and let it return to the earth, to flame, to another set of hands that can carry it differently. Or you may choose to cleanse it through ritual, smoke, salt, water, prayer, presence. What matters is intention. What matters is truth. You are not a storage space for unresolved energy. You are not a museum for pain. Your home, your body, your spirit, these must reflect your path. And your path demands discernment. Discernment of what you welcome, and discernment of what you continue to hold. Peace comes not by chance, but by choice. It is shaped by the clarity of what surrounds you, by the courage to keep only what resonates with who you are becoming. And when your field is filled only with what uplifts, your spirit moves like clear water, steady and unbroken. Not all burdens arrive in the form of sorrow. Some come dressed in gold frames, polished wood, shining glass. A shelf crowded with rare treasures. A room decorated more to impress than to soothe. Objects chosen not for meaning, but for their price tag. These are the subtle architects of unrest. They gleam beautifully, but beneath the shine, they awaken a hunger that never sleeps. In Shaolin tradition, the outer reflects the inner. Too much of anything, even beauty, becomes noise. Excess awakens craving. It feeds the restless mind, the part that always compares, always competes, always reaches for more. You may enter a room like this and feel uneasy without knowing why. The space is not truly alive, it is a stage, demanding attention, whispering questions. Do I have enough? Am I enough? What will others think? This is not peace. This is the silent drip of discontent. True mastery does not reject abundance. The enlightened path does not fear wealth, beauty, or comfort. But it warns of obsession. It warns of the subtle way identity can entangle itself with possessions until the spirit shrinks to match their shape. When your worth is weighed against what you own, you forget the immeasurable treasure of simply being. Simplicity is not emptiness, it is presence. A single bowl placed with care. A plant tended with devotion. An open wall that allows your eyes and breath to rest. These are not signs of lack. They are signs of clarity. They remind you that a space uncluttered is a space alive. Every empty corner is not a void but a canvas for peace to enter. Discipline, then, is choosing not what flatters the ego, but what strengthens the soul. To create a room that does not demand, but invites. To step into a space that does not compete for your attention, but deepens your breath. This is why monks live with so little. Not because they despise the world's gifts, but because they know peace is fragile when it is smothered beneath excess. A quiet space is not barren. It vibrates with possibility. It hums with stillness. And when you no longer need to be seen as successful, you begin to feel truly successful, calm, steady, unshaken. The more you release what distracts, the more you see what truly matters. And in that clarity, peace ceases to be something you chase. It becomes the way you live, the ground beneath every step. Even sacred things have their time. The incense holder chipped at the base. The talisman cracked after a difficult season. The scroll whose prayers have faded, its edges curled with age. These once pulsed with devotion, infused with your breath and your longing. They once stood as companions on the path. But left unattended, their fire diminishes. They become echoes, symbols without life, shadows of practice rather than vessels of presence. In the temple, students are taught, to honor the sacred is not to cling, but to respect its cycle. Creation, use, completion, release. A tool once alive with meaning becomes stagnant when forgotten. It no longer anchors you, it simply fills space. And spiritual clutter can be heavier than material clutter, for it deceives the mind into thinking devotion still resides there when in truth it has faded. This is not about disrespect. To let go of what is broken is not betrayal, it is reverence. It is gratitude expressed in its purest form, thank you. You have served me. I have changed. Now I release you. Holding on too long does not preserve holiness, it traps it, drains it, dulls its resonance. True devotion is fluid, alive, breathing with each moment. When you cling to faded relics, you worship memory, not presence. Small acts of care become disciplines of clarity. To clean the altar, to retire a worn symbol, to light incense with full attention, these are not chores. They are conversations with the unseen, affirmations that you choose to remain awake. Spiritual tools were never meant to be relics of sentiment. They are meant to support your growth, to carry you a distance, and then to step aside when their work is complete. When your space holds only what is alive with meaning, it becomes a mirror of your evolving path. Clear, breathing, awake. And in that environment, practice ceases to be habit, it becomes living prayer. Each breath, each gesture, each offering renewed, alive, and true. Energy does not only live where your eyes wander. It hides in the forgotten places. A closet unopened for months. A storage room crammed with old boxes, tangled wires, and dust. Corners you walk past but never truly see. Out of sight does not mean out of energy. What you neglect becomes stagnant, just as tension hides in the muscles you never stretch. And stagnant chi is not silent, it weighs, it drags, it creates heaviness in your field. Shaolin wisdom teaches, your home is your mind turned outward. Neglected space mirrors neglected thoughts. Shadows gather in what you avoid, both within and without. To bring presence into those forgotten corners is to bring light into parts of yourself you once abandoned. This is why monks clean with reverence. The broom is not a tool for dust, it is a tool for clarity. To sweep the floor is to sweep the mind. To fold a cloth is to fold distraction into stillness. Walk slowly through your home, not to clean but to feel. Notice where your breath changes, where tension creeps in, where your eyes skip unconsciously. These are signals. The body knows what the mind has stopped registering. And when you acknowledge these places, you begin to reweave connection. It is not about perfection. It is about intention. Even the simplest act, opening a window, letting light touch a darkened shelf, bringing fresh air into a closed drawer, shifts the field of your home. And as the field shifts, so does your spirit. Presence restores what neglect fractures. Each reclaimed corner whispers, "Nothing in me is abandoned. Everything in me is seen." This is how mastery grows, not in great leaps, but in quiet acts of attention. To tend to what you once ignored. To breathe life where there was stagnation. In those moments, dust itself becomes a teacher, reminding you that what is left unseen gathers weight. And your care, your awareness, becomes the liberation. Discipline is not found only in the grand gestures, but in these small invisible acts. When you honor them, your home transforms from storage into sanctuary. From forgotten corners into living mirrors of balance. And slowly, without force, your inner world follows, lighter, clearer, awake. Your home speaks, if you move slowly enough to hear it. Each room carries a rhythm. Some flow like water, soft and clear. Others feel stagnant, sharp, or heavy. These impressions are subtle, easy to dismiss when you are rushing, but when you walk with awareness, they reveal themselves. A doorway where you always hesitate. A corner where your breath shortens. A spot where tension creeps in without reason. This is not superstition, it is sensitivity. It is energy speaking. Shaolin practice teaches not only how to discipline the body, but how to read space, to feel where qi flows and where it clings. You do not need special tools. You need presence. Begin with the breath. Slow, steady. Let your feet touch the floor as if greeting the earth for the first time. Step into each room with open attention. Notice the light, the air, the silence. Where it feels alive, where it feels dim. This is how you learn to listen. When something feels off, honor it. Do not ignore. Light incense, not as ritual but as reset. Watch the smoke rise and curl into hidden places. Speak words of clarity, I release what no longer serves. I invite peace into this space. The room listens, but more importantly, your spirit listens. Your nervous system softens. Your thoughts slow. Your breath deepens. What you cleanse outside, you also cleanse within. This is daily maintenance, not only of walls and shelves, but of self. Discipline does not live only in martial movements. It lives in the way you pause at a threshold, the way you open a window, the way you choose clarity over clutter. A house cared for with awareness becomes more than shelter. It becomes a quiet ally, a mirror of your soul. And when your space rests in calm balance, your spirit has somewhere to land, to recover, to begin again. To remove what disturbs your space is not simply cleaning, it is self-mastery. It is a declaration, I no longer carry what pulls me away from peace. This is not fear. It is courage. The courage to let go until only what aligns remains. Walk through your home as if it were a temple, not with superstition but with reverence. Let your discipline shape your surroundings, and let your surroundings remind you who you are becoming. Because in truth, the outer and the inner are one. And when your home shines with clarity, your spirit shines with the same light.